Making friends with Sampson. The story characters. Nathan, he really wants a dog. Mike and his pals, they're trouble. Mom and Dad, they mean well. The story setting. Uncle Bill's farm. The sea. The park. School. Nathan's house. Nathan's wish list. Nathan Clark had always wanted a dog when his family moved to the city. It was all he could think about. We don't have a backyard, said Mom. The city's no place for a dog, said Dad. Nathan dreamed that one day they would change their minds. When they did, he would be ready. Nathan read books about dogs. He knew what to feed them. He knew what to do if they had fleas. He knew exactly what he would do with his very own dog. In his top drawer was his list. Great things to do with a dog. Number 1, take the dog everywhere, like fishing and to Uncle Bill's farm. Number 2, teach it to sit. Number 3, teach it to wait at the door for me. Number 4, let it sleep beside my bed. After a few days at his new school, Nathan added 2 things to his to-do list. Let me read that again. After a few days at his new school, Nathan added 2 new things to his list. Teach it to fetch things like newspapers, sticks, and baseball hats, after Mike's pals take them. Teach it to scare off other dogs, like Mike's dog, Monster. Nathan had even picked out a name for his dog, Sampson. Chapter 2, Nathan's birthday. On his birthday, Mom and Dad put a big box on his bed. Happy birthday, Nathan, said Mom. Pete's Pets was written on the side of the box, and there were holes along the top so that a puppy could breathe. You'll be surprised, Dad said. What's it gonna be? Nathan knew what it was. He held in an excited squeal as he opened the top of the box. He couldn't wait to meet his new, furry, friendly, jumping, barking, tail wagging bird. His dog was a bird. It couldn't bark or jump or wag its tail. In fact, it didn't move at all. For a second, it didn't seem real. Oh, Nathan gulped. It sure is a surprise. It was worse than the surprise he got on his last birthday. Nathan had won a special new computer game. Instead, he found a book about boats on the end of his bed. Chapter 3. Chirp, chirp. For weeks, the bird sat silently staring at him. Nathan changed his bird's water and seed every few days, but he didn't speak to it. What was the point? Whenever Nathan walked near the cage, the bird moved as far away from him as it could. One day, the bird tilted its head to one side and made a small sound. Chirp, it squeaked. Was that you, bird? Nathan asked. Chirp, the bird sang, then turned upside down and spread its wings. So you can hang upside down? So what? You can't chase a stick or catch a ball? What good are you? Nathan grumbled. The next time Nathan came near the cage, the bird didn't move away. Nathan moved closer. The bird didn't move. Nathan put his hand inside the cage. The bird still didn't move. Nathan tried to grab the bird. It bit him hard. See where Nathan got bit? Bird! Nathan yelled. You nearly bit off my finger. Frightened, the bird flapped inside the cage. Its wings crashed against the bars. Shh, Nathan whispered. Sorry, bird. It's okay. Shh. Slowly, the bird calmed down. Chapter 4. Making Friends with Bird. A few days later, Nathan tried again. Carefully, he stuck his finger inside the cage. The bird didn't move. Nathan put his finger near the perch. The bird hopped on. Good bird, he whispered. Good bird. Every afternoon they practiced, over and over and over again. Soon Nathan could even take the bird out of the cage. One night, the bird flew in onto Nathan's head, and he wore the bird to dinner. You couldn't do that with a dog, said Dad. I suppose, Nathan shrugged. He still knew a dog would be better than a bird. At school the next day, all Nathan could think about was the bird. What can I teach it next? He wondered. He kept thinking as he ate his sandwich and watched the boys playing baseball. Just then, Mike and his pals crept up. Got it, yelled Mike as he swiped the hat from Nathan's head. It was his favorite hat, the old blue one that Uncle Bill had given him. Mike walked away with Nathan's hat. Nathan sat in the library for the rest of the lunch break. Mike and his pals never went in there. As Nathan looked through the magazines, he couldn't believe his eyes. On one cover, there was a photograph of a man. He was wearing black leather and riding a motorcycle. A bird sat on the handlebars. It was trained to stay there while the motorcycle sped away. Nathan had an idea. Chapter 5. Bike Riding Lessons. After school, Nathan went down to the basement with the bird cage. He took out the bird and he put it on the handlebars of his bike. He slowly rode the bike in a circle. Then he rode faster. The bird held on. The next day, Nathan put the bird on his bike and rode behind his apartment building. The bird didn't fly away. Nathan rode the bike in a circle, faster and faster. Still the bird held on. It was incredible. Nathan was excited. He couldn't wait to show somebody. But who? Dad was working overtime at the hardware store. Mom was working at the cafe. Nathan thought about Mike and his pals. The bird needed more practice, but it would be cool to show off their new trick. Nathan opened the gate and he took the bird to the park. Chapter 6. Mike and Monster. Mike and his pals were playing ball. Their bikes were by a tree. Monster and the other dogs were on guard duty. Nathan rode his bike slowly along the path. Maybe they'd notice. Maybe they would want to come and have a look. Maybe they'd be impressed. They might even let him play. Monster saw the bird first. Grrr. The boys looked up. Monster pulled at his leash. The other dogs barked. The bird froze in fear. "Oh no," whispered Nathan. "No hat today, Nathan?" Mike asked. The boys laughed. "Is that a plastic Tweety bird on your handlebars?" Mike teased. The bird began to flap its wings. "Ooh, it moves. Hello, Tweety," Mike yelled as he grabbed at the bird. The bird flew off the handlebars in panic. It soared past the tree and out of sight. Monster and the other dogs went wild. Mike and his pals laughed, but Nathan hardly heard them. He pedaled fast past the boys, past the tree, past the dogs, and into the woods behind the park. "I wish I never left the basement," he said to himself. He rode along, searching for his bird in the trees. It was no good. The bird was gone. Chapter 7. Bird in Danger. Slowly Nathan pedaled back to the park. Mike and his pals were playing ball again. Monster and the other dogs were quiet now. Just then, the dog's ears shot up. Chirp, chirp, chirp. There was his bird, perched on a low branch. The dog snapped at its tail feathers. "Psst, bird," Nathan called desperately. "Come on, bird." But the bird wouldn't go to Nathan. It screeched and flew onto the seat of a bike. The dogs were a barking tangle of leashes, tails, and teeth. The bird flew into another bike seat, and then another. Finally, it landed on Mike's bike, which was propped up against a tree. Uncle Bill's blue hat was hanging from the brake handle. Monster growled and jumped over the other dogs with his jaws snapping. His leash was stretched tight. "Oh no, he'll bite my bird for sure," Nathan cried. Mike ran toward the tree. Suddenly there was a yelp and a yell as he tripped over Monster's leash. Mike flew through the air and fell on his bike. Monster landed on top. What a mess. The other boys began to laugh. Monster licked Mike's face. "Get off, you stupid dog," Mike yelled. The bird landed on Mike's head and screeched loudly. The boys laughed harder, but not as hard as Nathan. "That's a cool bird," said one of the boys. "How did you train it?" "It takes practice." "And a smart bird," Nathan said. Then he grabbed his hat off of Mike's bike. "Can you train dogs?" the boys asked. "Probably," Nathan smiled. "But I like birds better." That night, Nathan moved the cage so that it was next to his bed. "Hey, bird," Nathan said softly. "You need a real name. From now on, your name is Sampson." "Good night, Sampson," Nathan said. Sampson shook himself, ruffled his feathers, and tucked his head under his wings. The end.